Today is Monday, October 15, 2018, and you're watching OC News. On today's show, Santa Ana winds are becoming tragic. Here's Aisling Antolin with more.
Stay tuned to find out how many Southern California residents are being affected by the Southern California winds.
Many are curious about Saudi Arabian journalist Jamal Khashoggi disappeared. We have new information coming up.
The latest spill on entertainment found out what couple called out quits. And later, what popular snack was used by sheriff's deputies to round up a pig. All this and more when OC News starts now.
Welcome to OC News. I'm Marisela Perez.
And I'm Myra Roscoe. OC News is brought to you by the broadcast journalism students at Cal State Fullerton.
Strong winds continue to blow through Orange County with gusts up to 60 miles per hour. The winds are toppling trees, blowing debris, and causing power outages. Thousands of people are without electricity tonight. We turn to OC News reporter Aisling Antolin, who is live on the campus of Cal State Fullerton with more on the effects of the windy conditions. Aisling?
Nearly 18,000 residents are without power over this past weekend in Orange County due to the power of the wind and other weather-related problems. Multiple schools have also been shut down. Colleges like Saddleback in Mission Viejo and Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa have been evacuated due to a power outage and are not expected to resume classes until tomorrow morning. The high winds have set electrical crews running from city to city as other trees were knocked down and dust and debris are being blown away and causing thick black clouds blocking roads that have made driving hazardous. The strong Santa Ana winds increase fire danger all throughout Southern California. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning and fire weather watchers to alert fire departments of the possible onset of critical weather and dry conditions that lead to rapid or dramatic increases in wildfire activity. Be sure to discuss fire safety with family members, establish a plan to ensure that your safety is intact. Check your fire alarms, and remember, if a fire occurs in your home, get out, stay out, and call for help. The power is expected to be restored by the end of today in most areas. Reporting for OC News in Fullerton, I'm Aisling Antolin.
Strong winds are being blamed for one death in Tustin. A large tree was uprooted this morning around 9:15. It landed on a car, crushing a woman inside. It appears 34-year-old Dendon Burmis died instantly. The large eucalyptus tree smashed the car Burmis was sitting in. The falling tree also took down power lines.
For more information on how long these winds are going to last and what the current weather conditions are, we head over to Leslie Cano.
Hi, I hope you guys are all having a happy Monday. Let's take a look at the weather today. So as you can see, our current temperature right now is at 81 degrees with our low being 57. The wind speeds right now are at 11 miles per hour, but don't forget there is a red flag advisory in effect until tomorrow night. And our sunset today is going to be at 6:17. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast, you're going to see that it's mostly sunny skies across the board with most of the temperature being in the 80s. It will start to warm up towards the end of the weekend with 88 degrees. And onto our national weather. As you can see, some places in the U.S. are experiencing rain. Let's take a look at the northern East Coast. You'll see Boston's at 64 degrees right now, and Miami right at the southern East Coast is at 87 degrees. We take a look at areas such as Texas. You'll see they're experiencing some thunderstorms with San Antonio being at 50 degrees. And if we take it back to California, you'll see in our northern area, we're at 76 degrees. All right, let's take it back to you ladies.
People are seeking answers as to why Saudi journalist was allegedly murdered in an interrogation that went horribly wrong. Jamal Khashoggi was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey on October 2nd. Recent reports indicate that Khashoggi recorded his death on his Apple Watch that was then sent to his fiancée. A source familiar with the investigation said that Turkish authorities now have footage on Khashoggi's death. Earlier today, President Trump spoke on Khashoggi's disappearance and his alleged death. CNN's Karen Kaifa was there to cover the story.
President Trump vowing to leave nothing uncovered regarding Jamal Khashoggi's disappearance, but says he spoke with the Saudi leader and he has denied involvement.
I don't want to get into his mind, but it sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers. Who knows? We're going to try getting to the bottom of it very soon, but his was a flat denial.
Trump also on Monday sent Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Saudi Arabia to meet with King Salman. Khashoggi has not been seen since he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd. The Saudis say he left shortly after. Turkish investigators were inside for the first time on Monday. President Trump told 60 Minutes that there would be severe punishment if the Washington Post columnist and Saudi critic was found to be killed. Members of Congress want a forceful response.
If in fact the Saudis lured him into that consulate, murdered him, cut up his body, and disposed of it, there was going to be a very strong congressional response.
We need clarity from the president saying you can't kill people in foreign countries. You can't kill people without a trial.
Saudi Arabia faces diplomatic and economic pressure from the West. The UK, France, and Germany have demanded a credible investigation, and a number of key figures have pulled out of a major investment summit in Riyadh later this month. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
President Trump and First Lady Melania visited Florida earlier today to survey the damage of Hurricane Michael. He spoke with farming victims and handed out bottled water. During his visit, Trump praised FEMA for their hard work and the quick reaction to the Category 4 hurricane. After his brief visit to Florida, the president then visited a Red Cross center in Warner Robins, Georgia. He returned to CNN's Camila Bernal for more information on his trip.
Just making sure everyone's safe, that they're fed. You know, many of these people have no home. Some of them have no trace of a home.
5 days after much of the Florida Panhandle was torn apart by Hurricane Michael, President Trump is in the state to see it firsthand. Joined by the First Lady and Florida Governor Rick Scott, the president first took an aerial tour of the devastation. From there, the Trumps went to a distribution center to help pass out supplies.
The governor of Florida, Rick Scott, has done an unbelievable job.
Thousands across the region are relying on donations and government assistance for necessities like food, water, and shelter, and several are still missing. FEMA-approved transitional sheltering assistance for families in Bay County, Florida, one of the hardest hit areas. This will provide survivors short-term lodging if their homes or communities have been destroyed. Residents of 10 other counties are also eligible for individual assistance.
Damage is so widespread. We've registered over 20,000 people already in individual assistance within FEMA.
And Trump has pledged the areas impacted will have all the help they need to get their communities back up and running. In Panama City, I'm Camila Bernal.
A skydiving trip turns deadly. We'll have details.
The stock market recovers a bit from last week, and a breakup in Hollywood that stunned many.
I'm Brenda Gonzalez. Coming up in health news, leave the office a bit early. It just may help you live longer. That story and much more after the break.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
LA County Sheriff's deputies are asking for the public's help in identifying a man who might have abandoned a toddler in a Walmart Lakewood. The child was found October 8th in the men's bathroom. A shopper found the boy alone near one of the restroom stalls. He alerted a store employee. Surveillance footage shows a man walking into the bathroom with a full backpack. He leaves the store several minutes later. Police say this man is a person of interest. The man left the parking lot driving a gold Jeep Cherokee with no license plates. The child is between 12 and 15 months old, African American, weighing about 20 pounds. No reports of a missing child have been filed. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the LA County Sheriff's Department's Special Victims Unit.
A skydiver has been killed in Lodi, California. After her parachute failed to properly open, this is the 5th death in only 3 years. For more on the story, we now turn to KOVR's Jennifer McGraw.
It's a thrill seeker's hobby, jumping from a plane thousands of feet in the air with only a parachute on their back. And here at the Lodi Parachute Center, it happens hundreds of times a day.
What's the feeling?
Freedom.
Sadly, a malfunction or operator error could be deadly and was Sunday afternoon when the jumper's parachute failed to properly deploy.
It's a sinking feeling that, oh no, here we go again.
It's a hurt that has affected this tight-knit community, who didn't even want to go on camera but wanted people to know while there are risks, they say statistically speaking, this sport is relatively safe.
1 in 100,000 is just about the statistics, the percentage-wise. 9 times out of 10, it is operator error.
In 2017, almost half of the 24 jumpers who died in the U.S. faced malfunctions. The others failed to safely land a canopy, being the second deadliest, and different factors for the others, according to the U.S. Parachute Association.
If everything is followed correctly and emergency procedures are taught and performed correctly, even in the most dire situations, it is safe. But there is always that slight percentage that everything can be done right and something will go wrong.
Sadly, since 1999, 16 people have died after taking off from this facility.
The family has a loss. And that's what we're looking at, is we have a loss in the family.
A risk jumpers say they're willing to take, hoping their training will ultimately save them.
There was a bit of a comeback for the stock market on Friday. The Dow, after combined losses over 2 days of more than 1,300 points, gained 287 points to close the week. There were also gains on Friday for the S&P 500, which picked up nearly 1.5% of value. The Nasdaq spiked more than 2%. Still, 3 major indexes were saddled with their worst weeks since March.
Now we will go with Christine Romero that has the latest scoop on entertainment.
That's right, I have the latest celebrity news. Kanye West visited the White House and President Donald Trump actually allowed the press to go inside the meeting to capture every moment. The rapper provided a monologue which included commentary on social issues, hydrogen planes, mental health, and political, as well as speech that talked about several topics, as President Trump nodded and agreed, but he did not give much response back to what he would agree to do. Kanye West did not arrive empty-handed, as he provided a gift that had everyone talking. Let's take a look. West then added to his speech, "If the president doesn't look good, then that doesn't allow us to look good either."
I brought a gift with me right here. This right here is the iPlane 1. It's a hydrogen-powered airplane, and this is what our president should be flying in. Look at this shirt.
West then moved along the conference, showing admiration to Trump with his mega hat, stating that it made him feel powerful like Superman. Well, Mr. West, I'm sure Trump will be taking your new iPlane 1 into consideration. And Selena Gomez is seeking treatment after having a panic attack in the hospital. That's according to People magazine. The reports say that the pop star will be undergoing a type of talk therapy called dialectical behavior therapy to help manage negative thoughts and behaviors. A source said the 26-year-old had been recently hospitalized for complications related to her kidney transplant from last year. Being diagnosed with lupus in 2015, Gomez revealed she had been out of the spotlight for a while because she was diagnosed with lupus. And in 2016, she said she would take time off to focus on her health, and she also had been struggling with mental health, including anxiety and depression. which she noted can be a side effect of lupus. And what couple just called quits? Ariana Grande and Pete Davis have officially broken up and called off their engagement. Ariana Grande and Pete announced their surprise engagement earlier this year in May, just a few weeks after they were reported to just be casually dating. The woman goddess recently expressed she was going through a rough patch, tweeting a lot of personal messages. In one particular, saying she needed a break from the public spotlight and asking, "Can I please have one okay date? Just one, please." Clearly, Ariana has been going through a lot, especially after former ex-boyfriend Mac Miller's death just last month. But sources close to the couple have stated that both still have a lot of love for each other, but that the romance is over. Well, I guess we will just have to wait and see if time will allow this couple to rekindle their romance back. That's all I have for entertainment today. Back to you.
It was a beauty pageant unlike others. Sure, it featured personality and talent competitions, but what made this pageant different is the contestants were all men. OC News reporter Genesis Chicas has the story.
Hi, I'm here in the TSU Pavilions as Alpha Chi Omega here at Cal State Fullerton prepares for a night of contestants, fun, and awareness for domestic violence. Alpha Chi Omega hosted their annual Mr. Alpha Chi Omega pageant last night at CSUF. Mr. Alpha Chi Omega is a male beauty pageant between all fraternities here on campus. The pageant raised money for victims of domestic violence. The cause is close to many within the organization as they raise awareness of domestic violence.
1 in 4 women are affected by domestic violence at some point in their life, so raising money for this is something we're very proud to be a part of.
For CSUF Alpha Chi Omega, their goal was to raise $10,000. The pageant consisted of 5 sections with silent and live auctions throughout the night. Gift baskets were auctioned off, and prizes included Travis Scott and Lakers tickets, with many, many more others. Contestants introduced themselves with a video to show off their personalities. Then, the men strutted their style on stage. Excitement rose even higher as they showed off their talents to the entire Greek community. The boys performed songs, played instruments, did tricks, and stand-up comedy. Overall, the boys had a great time showing off and having fun. The spirit in the room continued as each contestant chanted a cheer with the help of their fraternity and friends. Finally, after Alpha Chi Omega trivia, the winner was announced.
Very honored that I won Mr. Alpha Chi Omega. All the contestants were awesome, so for them to pick me is a very big honor.
That night, many could see the whole Greek community come together for an important cause, raising awareness on domestic violence. I'm Genesis Chicas, reporting for OC News here at Cal State Fullerton.
Now we will move on with Brenda, who will give us the latest in health to help you keep updated and healthy.
Thank you. Using e-cigarettes is one of the ways in which users can consume nicotine, and unlike traditional cigarettes, for e-cigarettes the users can choose from many different flavors. However, the way in which e-cigarettes are advertised impacts and attracts a wide audience. Now, the FDA is targeting companies to see if they have been marketing e-cigarettes illegally, with the goal of having young audiences want to try the products. The purpose of the FDA's investigation of 21 e-cigarettes companies is to see how these companies are marketing themselves and from there prevent companies from targeting teenagers in order to help crack down teen cigarettes usage. It typically starts with respiratory illness and a fever, and then several days later the child will experience a fever or a headache and neck pain, or for pain in their arm or leg that will slowly progress to weakness. According to Dr. Samuel Dominguez, these are the typical symptoms for children that get the virus-acute flaccid myelitis. As of September 38 cases of AFM in 2016 states have been confirmed, and the number appears to be rising. In 2004, when Lydia Pilarowski was 6 years old, she was diagnosed with AFM.
This is Lydia Pilarowski, 4 years ago. Pay close attention to her left arm. She's really not moving it. She is in the throes of acute flaccid myelitis, AFM. It is rare, but scary. Sudden onset of weakness. Sometimes the face, the eyelids, but most typically, it's the leg or the arm.
It will start with a respiratory illness and a fever.
Dr. Sam Dominguez is the medical director of the Clinical Microbiology Laboratory at Children's Hospital of Colorado. He has cared for dozens of patients with AFM, mostly children. The culprit is typically a pathogen known as enterovirus.
Over the last 4 years, it seems to be an every other year pattern.
In 2014, when Lydia was diagnosed, 120 people were afflicted nationwide. Their stories frighteningly similar.
We had this day, this beautiful August day, and she'd started coughing just a little bit before we went to the pool. We got in the car, and she started kind of whining, and I knew she had a fever. And after that point in time, it was like our whole life changed.
A lot of times I ask, why me? But then a lot of times I'm like, well, at least it wasn't in like my legs or my right hand, because I'm right-handed, so that would be a lot worse.
If any of this sounds familiar, it's because you may remember images like this. In the early 1950s, polio caused more than 15,000 cases of paralysis every year in the United States. That is, until a vaccine came along in 1955. No cases of polio have originated in the United States now in nearly 40 years.
Let me show you what AFM looks like on an MRI scan. You see these bright areas here? That represents inflammation in the spinal cord and in the nerves that control the arms. And here's the important point. It's likely not the virus itself causing the paralysis, but rather the immune system's response to the virus. It's sort of a hit-and-run reaction.
While some children never fully recover from AFM, Lydia has steadily improved over the last 4 years.
We count our blessings every day to see her being able to do the things that she loves to do. She really is just a normal kid.
And again, I want to emphasize that what you just saw there is rare. It's an important point. We're not trying to frighten people. And the best way to think about your own safety, with flu season right around the corner, do the same things you would do for that. Cover your mouth when you cough, sneeze into your elbow, and wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. It really does seem to work.
Best wishes to Lydia and her recovery. Working less and living long is a desire many individuals have. There are 4 ways in which that goal can be reached, according to Christina Benedict, a researcher in Uppsala University's Department of Neuroscience. Well, that's all for today's health segment. Back to you in the studio.
Coming up, we'll have an update on sports.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us, when others are down, to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up in sports, the Dodgers look to extend their lead in the series against the Brewers, and the Red Sox and the Astros are seeking another World Series title. Alex Lusting is here with all things sports. Alex?
Thanks, ladies. Well, everyone, it's time for another installment of the sports segment. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I'm excited because the NBA season starts this week. More importantly, there are a lot to come from this weekend with playoff baseball, the NHL, and maybe a bit of college football action as well. Let's dive right into the highlights from this past weekend. We will start with Game 2 of the National League Championship Series between the Dodgers and the Brewers. David Freese at the plate with 1 on and 1 out at the top of the first, and Lorenzo Cain says not today as he robs him of what could be a 2-run home run. It would remain scoreless until Orlando Arcia blasts a solo moonshot to center field. The ball barely makes it over, but puts the Brewers up 1-0 at the bottom of the fifth. The bases are loaded for Ryan Braun with one out as he hits an infield dribbler, which brings another score, and the score is now 2-0. The next inning, Shaw goes to deep right center field, and the outfielders watch it leave the park, and now the Dodgers are trailing 3-0. Cody Bellinger, who has been struggling so far in the playoffs, finally breaks out of the slump as he hits a one-run single to center field. Before the single, he was 0-15. They would go on to tack on another run before Yasmani Grandal grounds out into a 4-6-3 double play to end the inning. Justin Turner, the former Cal State Fullerton baseball player, hits a go-ahead two-run dinger to left center field, and the score would advance to 4-3 in favor of the Dodgers. That'd be the final score of the game as the series tied at 1 apiece. The next game is the ALCS between the Astros and Boston. The highlight from this game was the big double in the bottom of the eighth by Mookie Betts, which put Boston up 7-4. The series is tied at 1. Game 3 will take place in Houston tomorrow at 2 p.m. on TBS. Going into hockey, the Ducks and the Blues faced in a nail-biting game in St. Louis yesterday. Jakob Silfverberg breaks away, and the Ducks lead 1-0 at the end of the first. It was a great outlet pass by Max Comtois, and Hampus Lindholm draw the assists. Second period, Steen and Bozak score for the Blues, and now they lead 2-1 after 2 periods of action. The dagger was a power play goal by Angelo Cogliano in the third period, and the Ducks would win by a final of 3-2. Anaheim gets a break until Wednesday, when they will take on the New York Islanders here at the Honda Center on Wednesday. The Bulldogs and Tigers kicked off this weekend, and the outcome wasn't expected at all. Georgia, the number 2 team in the country, was upset by number 13 LSU. The big play was a 4-yard touchdown run by LSU's Nick Brossette, which put the Tigers up 36-13. Another big game occurred between USC and Colorado, which was a big Pac-12 matchup. The highlight play of this game was this 9-yard touchdown pass to Michael Pittman Jr. from JT Daniels, which put USC up 21-17 before the half. We are sad to announce the passing of Seattle Seahawks and Portland Trail Blazers owner Paul Allen. His legacy will be remembered by both teams. That's all we have for sports. Back to Maricela behind the desk.
Never underestimate the power of a snack. California authorities used Doritos to corral a runaway pig. This swine, described as the size of a mini horse, was spotted in San Bernardino neighborhood over the weekend. Quick-thinking deputies grabbed the chips from a lunch bag and made a trail for the pig to follow. Lucky for them, he was hungry, and soon enough the pig was safe and sound back home. That's going to do for us here at OC News.
Don't forget to join us on our social media channels under the handle OC News CSUF. We hope you have a wonderful night. See you next time.
OC News is sponsored in part by Univision Communications, Southwest Airlines, and Casanova McCann.